Welcome to Marriage, Let's Talk, hosted by legendary worldwide marriage encounter leader, Father Rosy Rosebrough, featuring Catholic married couples from around the world who demonstrate healthy communication for building better marriages. And now, here's Father Rosy.
Hi, Father Rosy here. I'm glad you could join us today. This podcast is not talking about marriage. It is where we're going to share how to create a better marriage through communicating feelings in authentic ways. This is Connie and Juan Mayta. What question do you have for us today you're going to share on?
Well, we had in all this moving around, we had some sad news that where we had a person. We're in the middle of the US, of course, in St. Louis, but our family is either in Bolivia or in Michigan, or just all spread apart. We have some sad news that Juan's uncle, his name is Tío Gregorio, he passed away, a long-suffering cancer for maybe half a year that we knew about it. And so what is the question is, in what ways then, in times like this, we have so many elders in so many parts of the country and different continents, how can we help each other endure the sorrows? So we wrote ourselves letters of what's my role, what's your role, and it's a pragmatic way of kind of taking turns, but in a very soft way and graceful way too.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
How do we support each other in moments of grief, and how can we stay close to God on these sad moments in life?
Thank you. You could
Yeah.
Go ahead and read the letters. Go ahead.
Okay, why don't you start, Juan?
Yeah.
If you're ready.
Yeah, I'm good. I can read.
Okay.
Yeah. So, dear Connie, my uncle Gregorio passed away this week. My family in Bolivia had a huge loss. He was a great man who looked over us in our most difficult times. Many of my favorite memories from my childhood and as a teenager involved my uncle Gregorio and my cousins. He always gathered our families together, and he was someone I can talk to anytime. He gave me so much encouragement over the years, and he was very influential in my life. In some ways, I feel helpless that I can't be there for my aunt Elvira and my cousins in these difficult times, because it's not easy to go to Bolivia. Times like these are depressing for me sometimes, because they remind me of those family events that I have to miss. These are the sacrifices that come with being away from family. This week, I miss him very much. It was very hard. I'm praying for my aunt Elvira, and I know I'll make it a priority to see her in our next trip. I am thankful that Tio Gregorio was able to meet you, and he saw us as a married couple. I always cherish that quilt that you made for them. I know he loved you as much as me, and that he will be looking over us from heaven.
Mhm.
Love you, Juan.
And I confess that I just thought of something too where, dearest one, I'm so grateful you were able to see Dio Gregorio, even though it was very difficult for you to see him in the state that he was. I'm so grateful that the break in your work life and environment, you were able to see him. I actually feel like a plunger tug in my heart as it goes out to your family, our family in Bolivia. And in loving memory, we grieve our beloved Dio Gregorio. I only met him a few times of our trips home. Each of them is so memorable. I remember seeing his kindness when I first met him. I left my purse on the top floor of their 5-story building, no elevator. And without hesitation, he walked up the stairs to get my belongings. He was a kind gentleman, just like you. I know he also looked over your mother when they were in their younger years and moved to be with her at their parents' request. He selflessly made some sacrifices to be caring for your mother, and something that we can never repay him for taking care of her. The loss is so great in our hearts. And I'm so grateful you had Dio Gregorio in your life for longer than I did. I cried for him and I cried for you, my husband. I remember the verse, Jesus wept in John 11:35. I love that we're feeling that too. I feel lost of a great friend. Dio and his family visitations while we were adventuring in Bolivia always seemed like a safe haven for me, where people loved me. And right after our wedding, I remember that they embraced me and gave me all these beautiful gifts. And so as your companion, I look forward to taking care of you, Juan, as you take time to grieve like Jesus. I'll make sure Dio's name is mentioned as we pray at the table. When we hike or take walks this weekend, please tell me stories. I love the stories you tell me about your childhood with Dio and his wife and their kids at Tia Elvira. I know it's my turn to take care of you as you did when I lost my pet, my Sophie. You were, you knew my heart was sunk, and my embrace that I always had with her was empty. And you were my soft superhero at the time. You did so many gracious things. Both of us feel helpless because our families are not close. And we know that our elders are suffering in health, but it's my turn right now. Although sad, I'm grateful that I get to be the one to console you. I want to be now that soft and graceful helper for you. I love you. So what are questions you have for me?
Yeah, so as hard as it was to talk to family all this week, Connie was really, really supportive, and I really got to appreciate to have someone to listen and be there for me and my family. And I as we look at our families, and we're at that age where our uncles, our parents are not getting any younger, and I like to learn more about how you have that self-awareness to to see me and to help. And I think I'm curious about maybe more how do you feel to be, how does it feel to be a soft helper?
I think a soft helper in my role is to notice your eyes, to notice your energy. I want to slay any loneliness, and that means it's time to walk. That means let's not do things efficiently. Let's do it together. None of this divide and conquer. We need to do things and stay together. Let me drive like I drove today to get our errands done. It's okay that you take a back seat. Well, your mind could drift off to some crazy thoughts of grandeur that I need to save. So what other questions?
And when you see that I am how do you know that I'm getting like depressed, or how do you know what to do about my situation?
Because the energy is different. Your answers are shorter, softer, slower. But even if they start picking up, even if there's a little bit of healing, I think all our elders are it's going to take about a year. So just continuing to be softer with each other, doing things together instead of efficiently, is steer away from thoughts of grandeur, like, hey, let's, like if something happens to my family, I would tend to think, okay, sell the house and move to Michigan, or someone's got to be the person that has like in Spanish, the word is cuerda, a thinking straight. So there's things that I'm grieving too, but you to a greater extent. So we're always going to have to weigh things out, I think, for each other.
Yeah, and how do you what do you remember about Tio Gregorio? What was your favorite memory?
When we would go, and he's changed a couple of homes, but it always seemed when we would go to visit, it would be something about, Bolivian pizza. It was weird pizza, but everything that we did was so much fun and laughing. And whether I was trying to carry a baby or I just remember just stepping in, and then this halo would start. And it was so much fun, and I didn't want it to end, and hours would go by until it was time to go. And then we got modern and made a WhatsApp channel, and I forgot, we called it something crazy like the Sunshine Channel or the Goody Goody Channel or something like that. And that itself brought a lot of laughter, and everything we posted was a lot of laughter. And that's the way I want to remember Theo and everybody who is still there, that we can still help. We can still do things for them.
Yeah, my feeling was just a heavy heart, is how I felt, and sometimes even some dizziness. And it's been really great to have you there and noticing how I'm feeling and trying to get me out of this feeling. And I really appreciate you for that.
Thank you. I think there's something in dwelling in it. I mean, Jesus wept. We get to be in that space. It feels good to weep for a person that we lost for a little bit. So it's my turn to be that, the soft helper is what I'm calling it.
Well, thank you both so much. That is so powerful. I was just thinking you used the word, would you use something be inside of him? What was that? Like almost like soaking into that feeling, something like that. You said like soaking into that feeling of his helplessness or overwhelmed, sometimes depressing or just something. And that to me is the great dance of dialogue. When two people become vulnerable in their heart, and you try to ask different questions, you try to use different symbols or signs, or compare it to a taste, or compare it to something walking to you, or something of nature, you're starting to dance around, trying to get closer to the other person, so you can slip into that feeling, instead of saying, well, when you get better, I belong to you. Instead of saying, I want to enter into where you are, where your heart, where your sadness is.
You are.
And when you do that, you have dynamite. You have dynamite closeness, intimacy.
Yeah. But I think the motion that you're doing with your hand is definitely what I feel I need to. It's a swooping where my hand will still stay low, but I'm not gonna let it hit the ground, but I'll stay there as long as needed. And it's not gonna be a microwave solution. It'll take a year. We love our elders so much.
And I think those who are listening don't see my hands. I go back and forth that I could dance. You can imagine a dance when you're trying to follow somebody who maybe you haven't danced with before, or you know the dance. And so how do you still step on each other's feet? Or sometimes it's just so perfect, you just move beautifully and follow the music with the beat, just kind of hold each other in each other's arms. And that to me is what somebody says, I want to wrap my arms around you while you're in that feeling. I want to be that close to your heart, and I'll cry with your tears, and I'll laugh in your memories as you tell the memories and joys of Theo that are so powerful. That, the purse routine, he said, well, what reminds you of Theo? And then he tells, well, remember these kind of moments in my life, how he helped my mom, and what a special gift that was at that special time. That's a going back and forth, and that's what weaves the gift of intimacy in a couple's lives. And that's what God gave you, that gift to be each other, because your heart is so sad and you're not there. You can't wrap your arms around them or your aunt. But so beautifully, you talked about, I could see you reach out with your heart and hands and wrap them up. And maybe make the phone call, you may even use that kind of demonstration of like, well, Grandma, I'm gonna wrap my hands around you right now, on Zoom, and all of a sudden becomes alive. So thank you so much. That's very, very, very powerful. Thank you for opening your heart and your blades of grass. You harvested the blades of grass of grief, which is hard to let somebody else be a part of, even beside yourselves. And so thank you very much. And when we do that, we experience the joy God promised us. You said it's a sadness and happiness and gratitude all at the same time.
Yeah, and thank you also for following our story. I mean, just the questions that you were asking, you're following what we're experiencing with, the changing of the jobs. And then he went to Bolivia, got to see Tio. Tio is the word for uncle. And then you're right to our beat where, okay, now we're getting used to our jobs and this happens. And I can't wait for the next chapter, because we'll have a lot of this behind us. So maybe we're doing something for Dio's legacy And we'd love to tell you about that in a little more cheerful heart and circumstance.
Well, it reminds me of the last time you talked about the job change and everything. You talked about finding a balance among
Yeah.
the changes, and you've done that. And doing what you said tonight and shared tonight, you've done exactly that in the midst of difficult times. So thank you very, very much. Until next time.
All right. Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
flexibility. Thank you.
Thank you, Father.
God bless you.
I'm so grateful for the guests we had today who shared willingly themselves in their dialogue. And thank you for joining us. I look forward to the next episode when I join you again once more.
This has been Marriage, Let's Talk, sponsored by Worldwide Marriage Encounter, the foremost faith-inspired marriage enrichment organization in the world, providing married couples with transformative experiences through couples retreats, small groups, and more. Learn to nurture love in your marriage at wwme.org. Marriage, Let's Talk is a production of Mater Media, the apostolate that offers the Celebrate Catholic Marriage experience to energize and fortify married couples through parish events and the 7-step journey to joy. Find out more at matermedia.org.